Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I am your host, Josh, and normally you would be hearing Corey's sultry voice, but a little bit of holiday scheduling mishap. He forgot that he had a Christmas party to go to at the office tonight. So, instead, flying in with me to join me on the tower is the one, the only, our Swiss Army knife guardian, the raid master himself, Joasis.
Eager edge skating in here. What's up, guys?
Yeah, he's gonna eager edge me off the fucking tower. Joe has been gracious enough to join us tonight. He was already going to before Corey was out of here, but we are doing a two-man show tonight. If you have been around the community for any length of time in the Discord or going back to some of our past episodes, Joe was writing in a bunch of questions about this time last year, I think, and was part of our episode 100 with some of his great questions. He has been a pretty big part of our community, part of the clan, and is, in fact, leading some dungeon runs tomorrow. By the time you're listening to this, the dungeon will be live, because I'm not posting this until after the dungeon, so that Joe and I can talk about everything that was data mined from it. I'm deliberately withholding information from everybody until it's out there in the wild. Joe.
Today for us, tomorrow.
Yeah, today for us, later for everybody else. Quick programming note. When we are recording this in the middle of the Game Awards, there will be a Lightfall trailer with Strand gameplay shown. We are probably not going to pause to talk about it, just as a fair warning. That will probably be talked about next week, simply because we all know historically how bad my internet connection is, and I'm really not wanting to tempt fate by having Twitch open on another screen right now while we're trying to do this. So we're going to hold off. If screen caps happen to come in on my Twitter feed, I'm going to be watching. Then we will we'll talk about it briefly. And if obviously if Bungie wins any sort of awards tonight, we'll talk about those real quick. But Joe, let's dive right into the nitty gritty of it. We had a new season start this week.
We did.
Season of the Seraph. Got to admit, I was kind of losing hope that we were going to get back to Rasputin. I think anybody who's heard me talk about the game at any point in time knows that this is not exactly a storyline that I'm jazzed about. I historically do not like Rise of Iron. Warmind, I really couldn't have cared less about, and Season of the Worthy, well, I think we all share the same opinion on Season of the Worthy. It's just been a really underwhelming story arc for me. The little seeds that were planted in D1, fine. Okay, cool. Rasputin was there, and then he wasn't. And the Fallen Saber Strike, when I had to play that the other night, just kind of reiterated everything I don't like about this plotline. But I'm interested and intrigued for the first time ever because of one specific individual, Joe.
And who's that?
Xivu Arath is here, baby.
Woo!
Xivu Arath has finally arrived. She's been kind of teasing for a little while. Similar to how Savathun was, we've actually had Xivu Arath getting built up. Obviously from the Books of Sorrow and the Taken King, but she's actually been getting built up inside of Destiny 2 since the Siege of the Dreaming City began. And she's kind of played little bit parts here and there. In Season of the Hunt, the Wrathborn hunts, that was us dealing with her. That was her. That was who Osiris was originally pursuing on the moon, if you remember correctly. And then she kind of went quiet. Season of the Lost, we dealt with her hordes again as she was assaulting the Dreaming City, trying to get at Savathun's crystal, fought her off. And now here we are, a full year later. Haven't dealt with her all year, and it seems like she's finally making her long-awaited move. And I'm willing to eat some crow here. I have believed the line that we were getting about, she is not really serving the witness because she believes in his ideology. She's actually scared. I'm actually thinking it's a bit more than that. I think it's a little bit more complex. I do think she is a disciple. I think that's pretty obvious. Some of the lore that I've been reading in game which we're not going to get into probably hardcore until after the Christmas break. When some of the seasonal stories kind of started to shape out a bit more. I want to get into some Zivo Wrath and some Clovis Bray lore.
Ooh.
But I think this is interesting that they're choosing her to be the one assaulting. Like, that's kind of the task she's been given by the witness, it seems like. Aramis's was to try and get the relics of Nezarec. Zivo Wrath seems to be getting the Warmind's arsenal. And Callus's is going for Neomuna. So, with all that in mind, I think it's interesting that we're going back to... First off, we're going back into some of these Warmind bunkers from Season of the Worthy. I got some slight PTSD going into these.
The repetition.
Oh my god, dude, it's so bad. So, the Europa one, fine, whatever. Like, you're fighting your way down the Clovis, and then I actually think that's really cool. You, like, dive off the side of the platform behind Clovis, and there's a whole new area.
The free falls are always great.
That was kind of rad to me. That's also, like, by far the hardest of the battlegrounds, I think.
Oh, yeah.
With the giant fucking Shrieker.
And like
that was
zero cover.
God, zero cover.
Except for on the edges.
I think that, and then there's an Earth mission as you continue through the storyline this week that I don't think really takes us to a place that we've been before on Earth, but when you get into the bunker, it's pretty much the exact same layout as the EDZ Seraph bunker. So like seeing some of these reused, some reused assets from, I think there's some stuff from the Destiny 1 bunkers in here as well.
Like the what's the heavy fusion rifle that had the quest?
Necrochasm?
No, the big one with the laser.
Big one with a laser.
Over penetrate. What is the name of that? It's a Rasputin
Sleeper?
Heavy Sleeper. Yeah, yes. So like the Sleeper like final mission room is just where you fight most of the battles in here.
Yeah, and I mean like this is another example of like we're reusing assets. I'm completely okay with it. I like it. But like kind of getting back to, I guess getting to the storyline. Very interesting that Osiris has been awake for like a week and he's demanding to know what was done while he's been gone, and Anna is basically like,
knocking heads.
She's like, I've done fuck all, man. Yeah. And he is not happy about this. This man is not happy, understandably.
And it's funny because like we know what happens in Lightfall, and he's just like spewing out all this like, yeah, there's a city, and everyone's like, you're crazy.
Yeah, I think that was kind of great. I like that his other solution is also like, let's just make a cup of tea. Like, guys, listen, we don't have to lean into the tea of it all. The storyline in its early form. Well, first off, we got a little bit more this week than I thought we were going to. I thought it'd be like, oh, you do the first bunker and that's it. No, it's you do the first bunker, you go and get some more codes, and then you unlock another mission. And that mission, it wasn't particularly hard, but I thought it was really interesting. It's kind of like a stealthy mission trying to get into the bunker.
Yeah.
You're not really fighting enemies out there, but you're trying to get in solo. I did it solo. You can do it with a team. I chose to go it alone. And I think that added to a bit of the difficulty for me. But I like the idea, at least initially, on these new battlegrounds. First off, can we appreciate that this is not a 6-player mode?
Oh my god.
I'm getting really tired of 6-player arenas, and I will take a mission like this any day. I will take Battlegrounds any day, because I think that you can easily take these and put these into the Vanguard playlist.
Mm-hmm. See, and like, people I guess never liked Battlegrounds. I've always, like the original ones that came in Chosen weren't great, but PsyOps ones were awesome, in my own opinion. And I like these ones thus far. I just don't want the champions. I just don't want the champions in here.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely a point of contention. I don't hate that the champions are in here, but I think the champs probably should have been saved for a master.
Yes.
At the same time, I think it's forcing players who don't like to equip champion mods, it's forcing you to put them on. And I kind of respect that in a twisted way because I'm really tired of running activities like Nightfalls where people don't have mods equipped and I'm trying to balance it all.
See, I'm gonna be real though. I'm fine with champs, but there's mods this season kind of suck. So
They're not great. I'm gonna be completely honest. They're not great. Um, and it's specifically the unstoppable mods that are really rough right
yes,
now.
and I'm not the biggest fan of anti-barrier bow. I think it's
It's
not
I
great
yeah, I'm not a
personally.
fan of that either, but I am a fan of anti-barrier pulse.
Yes,
So well, we all
big
know
time.
I'm the pulse guy.
Mhm.
Which also, by the way, the new pulse is because we're not going to be able to talk weapons really until after the break. This new pulse that you get is bitchin'.
It's a 4 round burst,
It's
right?
a 4 burst,
Yeah,
and I got mine with moving target Desperado.
there you go. And
I'm
it'll
so excited. It's a
wreak
stasis
havoc in
pulse.
PvP.
I would really like to get this with Headstone. Um, but this pulse feels amazing. The early impressions that I've heard from there is somebody on my feed who has already gotten the ritual pulse for this season.
Hmm.
And the early feedback seems to be just stick with the seasonal pulse. Like it outclasses it in every single way, and that excites me so much that I feel like I already got a god roll on this thing. Um, it's great. This is not Destiny related, but I am going to interject this here because I have a Twitter feed going on here. We really like Hades here at Tower Casuals. Hades 2 was just announced by Supergiant Games. And I don't know if you guys know about how much time I lost to this game, but I lost a lot of it when it came to Xbox last year when it came to Game Pass. This is an absolute day. If I have to build a PC to play this game in early access, I will absolutely do it. That is like how determined I am to play this. But I digress. Back to Destiny. Back to Destiny stuff. Before anybody comes flying in with a Lightfall teaser for me while we're trying to talk about the season.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Hey, stop it now! Watch this."
Oh my god, dude! I will freak out. I've already gotten so many things that I like announced. Castlevania is back. It's a great day. It's a great day for me. Um, I think the idea of Osiris and Anna having to work together to bring Clovis into the Clovis Bray into the fray. I had to say that. That is absolutely the name of tonight's
Arse.
episode. Clovis Bray into the fray. Um, I think that's interesting, and that's a way to kind of get back to that plot line. I was talking about this the other day with oh god, who was I talking about this with? I want to say it was maybe with John, and I was like, it's kind of weird that we haven't gotten back to this storyline for 2 years, but there really hasn't been an opportunity. I honestly had gotten to the point where I thought that Xivu Arath either was going to flip sides because we just don't have enough time to deal with her,
Yeah.
or we were going to deal with her as a post final shape threat. And I mean I think that's very much still on the table as a way to keep the hive in the story. Um, but I like where we're going. I like that Xivu Arath is the one that we're kind of scoring off against, and also like you can't fucking trust Clovis, man.
Yeah,
Like
no.
this is a rookie mistake. Like Osiris is screaming it, like do not trust this. Why are we trusting this guy?
Well,
And
I could see like when they go to insert like Rasputin into the a body, like I could see Clovis like intermingling himself in there, so
yeah,
he gets like the
one of the
power of
prevailing
Rasputin.
theories on the Tower Casuals Discord is that we may end up with a split personality robot,
That would
part
be cool.
Clovis, part Rasputin. Um, I I feel like the writing is like kind of on the wall that Clovis is going to try and seize complete control of the body when it's ready to go.
Yeah.
He wants to be mobile. I mean, remember he wanted us to bring Banshee 44 to him. back in the Lament quest, and we're like, oh fuck no.
They're like, "Fuck you, dude.
Yeah, no,
Get
no
back on
way,
your
no sir, no sir.
big ass head
You want,
platform."
if you try pulling any shit, we're putting your ass into a gun. Like this dude is absolutely going to get shoved into a gun, and I'm here for it. I'm waiting for it. When you look at, I think where they're trying to go with this season, this is, and I think this is an interesting topic. When we talk about the storyline that's playing out here, this is a storyline that I feel like is important enough to the overall narrative, but is not important enough to be its own DLC. This raises a good question, and there's been some healthy debates about it this week. And the reason why I'm bringing this up now, I know Corey and I have been talking a little bit lately about seasons and do they need to be reworked in Destiny. And Grenadier Jake had a great kind of take on this earlier that I think that like is something I've kind of been screaming for a long time, which is that we need to like stop seeing seasons as like these huge important milestone releases and accept that they are what they are. Like these are incremental updates to a game. They are not the major DLCs of the year. And I'll be honest, when I took that approach years ago.
Yeah.
When I took that approach, I found that I was enjoying the game a bit more. Like, and that does mean that not every update is going to hit. You're going to get a dud. You're going to get a Season of the Worthy or a Season of the Hunt or a Plunder. You're going to get those every once in a while. But
oh yeah,
like even though we talk about like Plunder being underwhelming, I don't think it was on the level of something like Worthy.
It wasn't bad at all. We just always expect like an elevating. Like,
I mean,
we always expect it getting like better and better and better, and in life, sometimes it just doesn't.
I think it was kind of twofold, right? We were coming off a season that I think a lot of us, myself included, found really tedious in Haunted. Like the storytelling, amazing, incredible story, maybe some of the best storytelling we've gotten in any of the seasons.
Yeah.
Coupled with one of the absolute worst activities outside of Seraph Towers, Seraph Towers and Wrathborn Hunts. And let me tell you something, I've got some real fucking PTSD doing these Battlegrounds missions now with Wrathborn being in them. I've got some real PTSD going on over here. It's like, I'm not hearing Destiny, I'm not hearing like the choppers of Nam, I'm hearing like the fucking ships from Arms Dealer on Grandmaster over me right now. Like, that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing threshers in the air.
It's just whenever you see one of those big hive dick looking things popping out of the ground, it's just
it's just like, oh god, here we go again. Way to remind me of like one of my least favorite events ever to do. Like, god, y'all want to complain about Catch Crash? Let me tell you about Wrathborn Hunts real quick. But so I think that's issue number one. Is that we were coming off a season that a lot of us found really tedious for the grind. And that's the only season so far I have not gotten the red borders out of because I just couldn't do it anymore. They dropped so sparsely. Yeah. It was so bad. Number two, I think, so there's really three things. Number two, I think we're all really fed up with the seasonal, like, chart model of, like, there's 21 boxes and all this shit, like, and you have to do them all in order to get the titles, and, like, I've explained my philosophy on titles, not going to reiterate it here. I think seasonal titles should be fairly simple to earn and not just a slog.
By just casually playing, by the end of the season, you should be at like 7 out of 10 completed. By like easily, just like playing.
You should. I would argue like even more. I think that things like that big ass board that you have to do every season, I think that kills a lot of casual players' interest.
Oh yeah. Well, and especially when they make the requirements like, oh, level this season's weapon to level 20.
Well, it's like I don't really mind that as much. I think what I'm bothered by is like we had things last season where like it was like, oh, things were tied to seasonal challenges, and like this, one of the seasonal challenges in week fucking 10, by the way, was go do 15 expeditions. That, and it wasn't even 15 expeditions, it's 15 bonus chests at the end of expeditions. So you can only hold so many of those things before you have to go back and do more catch crashes. And it was just like, in a season where we've already had to do this so many times, I had literally done about 50 expeditions at this point, and they wanted me to go do even more. That was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me. And then they just auto completed and we're like, oh yeah, you only have to earn 15 out of 21 of these things for the seal. Great. Yeah. That's how it should be going forward. I should only have to get like 2/3 of these things. If you really want to go the extra mile, like you want to grind out the armor and you want to grind out all your red borders and stuff, then you go and fill all of those. But I think you should get a guaranteed one for finishing the story step of the week every single week. And that should get you the majority of those.
I think how they should do seasonal titles is, so you know how like when you get a title gilded, it's just gold?
Yep.
We all like seeing a gold title, a gold border around a gun. It's just nice. So they should make one where like if you complete 15 out of 20, you get the title. But if you do all 20, you get like it doesn't need to be gold, but like a white title or something.
I could vibe with that. I could absolutely vibe with that. I think like the last thing that's like really grating on people is just unrealistic expectations. You look at the seasons that we've gotten since Worthy, like the consensual, I think, worst season that they've done. Mm-hmm. You had Arrivals, then you had Hunt. Hunt was another really down one, and I think a lot of us forgave Hunt because, one, it came packaged with Beyond Light.
Yeah.
We had other things to complain about, like Stasis. And 3, you had the Hawkmoon storyline, the Hawkmoon and Crow storyline, which I think was really, really well done. Mm-hmm. So I think we were willing to like let bygones be bygones on some of that. But after that, you went on a run that had, in a row, Chosen, Splicer, Lost, and Risen. You had probably 4 of the absolute strongest seasons, both from a weapons standpoint and I think from an activity and a narrative standpoint. Yeah. Like, it kind of fired on all those cylinders. You really had one down season in that, and that was Hunt. If you go all the way back to Arrivals, that stretched for 2 years. That was a 2-year stretch where we just expected banger seasons. And you had Haunted, which was the first one since really the pandemic started that we were like, oh, well, this doesn't really meet our expectations. The narrative was still really good, but this is fine. So I think a lot of us felt fatigued going into Plunder, and Plunder being kind of weak on 2 of those 3 fronts. On the activity front, there's only 1 catch crash map, let's be honest. Yeah. So it got really old looking at that, even if that is still a fun activity to me. Expeditions, I think, were a good way to reuse space we've already used. But again, the grind you had to do for the title will kill any enthusiasm you had for it. And then
the Ruffians.
The fucking Ruffians. We've all talked about that enough. I'm not talking about Ruffians anymore. It's over. It's done with. I have the title. I ordered my pin. They can't hurt me anymore, Joe. I think
we are stronger than them.
And then they had kind of an underwhelming weapons suite. I think outside of the Scout and the Sidearm, like, what were we really caring about last season?
Yeah, like, I can't even remember the names of any of them, really. Like,
yeah.
It was like a very forgettable suite of weapons.
It was a fairly forgettable
except
season
for a few. But Voltshot, though.
Voltshot, yeah. I mean, God, Voltshot, Arc 3.0, like, season. Yeah, Voltshot, Arc 3.0, like, there was some great shit that came out last season. Like, irregardless, the Return of King's Fall, this and that. Like, that's why I can't argue that it's like a super bad season.
Oh yeah, no.
So I think a lot of expectations had coming into this. I've already seen some try to be like, oh my God, this season's terrible. Like, bro, we are 48 hours into the season. You got to stop. You got to stop with the foolishness. But I want to read something from Joe Blackburn really fast, because he acknowledged this. I want to say it was either yesterday or on Tuesday. I guess it was yesterday. It was yesterday right around Daily Reset. So when I say yesterday, I mean Wednesday around lunchtime. He wrote like 5 or 6 tweets off. He goes, hey, just wanted to step in and say, hear you loud and clear on the feedback with our current seasonal backbones. The team is excited to put some more creative risk in seasonal progressions, but there will be some time before the feedback catches up to the dev cycle. Preview. Coming up next is Lightfall in Season 20. While Guardian Ranks and Neomuna Destination Pursuits are going to shake things up on the seasonal pursuit side, our major focus is reducing complexity and improving the synergy between seasonal pursuits and the rest of the game. Thank fucking God. This is kind of what we're talking about here. Like, this has to be sorted out, because I'm really tired of, like, having to completely put, like, the expansion or, like, ongoing stuff on hold to deviate to do the seasonal story, or vice versa. It's really jarring when I have to be taken out of a storyline I'm working on just to, like, go play like 5 Crucible matches and stuff like that. No, I want to be progressing no matter what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Like that's what was nice about like the Witch Queen campaign. It was like
yeah.
a very immersive.
Well, and like
campaign,
Risen
but
tied
you had
direct.
to-
That's the first time
yeah.
that Risen, like, or that a season tied directly into the narrative release.
Yeah.
And that kicked off the storyline we've told this year. And I think well, I wouldn't say like really kicked it off. I feel like that story kind of concluded with Haunted, right?
Yeah.
But you can see the seeds even from all the way back in Risen that they were planting, just like with the seasons in Beyond Light. They were planting those for the road to Witch Queen. We have had the road paved to Lightfall since the Vox Obscura mission. The Scion predictions and things like that, where, we knew that something was going to happen with Callus, and Callus has been a pretty big part of it. Again, it feels a little jarring that we jumped away from Callus at the end of Haunted to Aramis and then to Xivu Arath and Clovis. Like, okay. And then we already know, obviously, Callus is in Lightfall, and him and Osiris are both huge components. Like, okay, I think part of the fun of that mystery is how do we get there for me. I want to continue sharing what Big Joe has to say.
Other Joe said.
Yeah.
What Cooler Joe said.
What Lesser Joe has to say. Season 21 is at the halfway mark of development. The team is currently looking at ways to differentiate progression, aside from having a more novel activity setup in the works. Finally, as the last bugs on Season 20 and Lightfall are wrapping up, we're hardening our 2023 plans and are working to make improvements in this space every season next year. There's still novelty, thematic variety, and new ways to progress your character coming to Destiny over the next several months. But while we work to use this feedback in our future releases, I wanted to make sure everyone knows your words are not falling on deaf ears. I think that's really important, because one of the things that Corey and I have often bemoaned, both here and privately, is we haven't had a state of the game in close to 2 years now. By the time Lightfall comes out, it will have been 2 years since we got a state of the game. And I think that's just a really, really frustrating and almost upsetting place to be, especially when you see things like PvP the way that they are and the feelings on seasonal progressions. Like, at this point, it may seem like I'm willing to take whatever I can get, but that's kind of the truth.
So, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Explain what the state of the game is, because I don't really know what that is.
So
I assume it's just like a rundown of
state of the game is a blog post that was traditionally posted around the time that a expansion was either revealed or released that Luke Smith used to do, and it would kind of lay out the roadmap for goals that they wanted to have going forward, and like addressing specific feedback that didn't fit into like the DLC presentation. The last one that we got was from Joe Blackburn, at the time that him and Justin Truman were appointed as the co-directors of the game. When we found out, it was in the same post actually where we found out that Witch Queen was going to be delayed. It was right about the time that Season of the Chosen came out. And that was when we got the infamous refocusing on PvP post. Where we got the plans for the maps and we were like, oh, cool. Like, y'all are paying attention. It's going to take a while. Okay, we get it. Maps take a while to make. And Disjunction was the only thing that we got out of it. So it's supposed to lay out like longer term goals. I'm willing to forgive state of the game a little bit more because, yes, I understand that we desperately need to have a conversation about PvP and Gambit. And that's the primary reason why I make the argument for a state of the game. But I do also want to acknowledge that in the Lightfall reveal event, we got things like LFG and item loadouts talked about, and those have been often requested features by the community. We've been using third-party tools for so long. Like when I do LFG, for instance, I do it straight from the Xbox. I love that tool is built in straight into the UI. Like, that's just an easier way to do it for me. I know you can do it through the Bungie app. I've never liked doing that kind of stuff. I don't like having to use third-party tools to do that. I personally don't sit by my computer, so I don't have Dim open, and I don't really like using it on my phone either. So I'm the guy who uses the Destiny 2 app to transfer guns, and everybody hates me because it takes forever. I am excited to have these features in game, and it's something like I have personally been rallying for, but that's great. I got some of the things I've been asking for. We need to address ritual playlists. Like, the Strikes playlist is so stale right now. It's so stale. There's not enough rewards, and I don't think in any of the playlists personally. Like, it took us 2 years to build up an actual loot pool in these activities. Like, it's frustrating
I
to
didn't
see. It's
really
like,
think about that.
even
Like,
Nightfalls,
really
like, you look at it, Nightfalls this season, we're getting one new weapon and we're getting a returning weapon in Hung Jury. Hung Jury just got taken out of the rotation like 6 months ago. Why is it already back? We don't need Hung Jury to come back if you're going to be doing the legacy engrams for things that have been retired, and Nightfalls are specifically mentioned in that. Why on earth is Hung Jury back as a reward?
It's making me think that there's gonna be no other way to obtain Adept unless it's like the week of, like.
And I'm fine with that because I don't think Adepts should be handed out in an engram or at Xur. I'm totally okay with that. You should be able to get.
It'd be earned, yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to get a decent roll. But if you want the best of the best rolls, you're going to have to go play it the week that it's up. I can understand and respect that. When it comes to that and it comes to trials weapons, totally get it. But, like, you look at it, we just had comp launch, and we're going to talk about comp a little bit later. But we just had it launch, and there's no reward for hitting max rank in comp. There's no.
I saw that there's like a bug or something, right?
There's what?
There's a bug with Rose, correct?
They've already fixed that. As of the time of this recording, that has been fixed.
Yeah.
Rose was not being awarded for some players when you finished your placement matches. But, like, people who are reaching max, we've already had somebody reach max rank in comp, and there was nothing special given. That, to me, is like a scathing indictment of where we are. Like, we discussed this a little bit in the PvP Schwab breakdown, so I don't want to litigate old points, but that's really frustrating to see. Even as somebody who will never reach that's frustrating to see. Like, there should be something special, like, beyond an emblem like that. I would be all for a special shader. I'd be all for I think a special shader, special emblem, and maybe even a special, like, ornament skin should be
like
for the people who make it to that top rank.
What's the point if there's nothing up there? You know what I mean?
And that's part of what you keep coming back to. So, like, I think if you were to do a state of the game, you would need to address the state of PvP, Gambit, ritual playlists. Seasons are kind of being addressed here, but, like, I want a more concrete plan of what you plan to do for seasons, especially if we're really going, because, God, there's no way we're not going in, like, the last year and a half or so of Destiny 2. I would honestly think that after Final Shape, they may just cut bait and say, we're doing 2 seasons to cut off some loose ends that tie into the Light and Dark saga, and then we're going to kind of go content dark for like 6 to 9 months while we cook up what will be the next step of the game. And I would not be shocked if that gets revealed to be Destiny 3. I know they've said for years they do not plan on it. I don't see any way you can continue, because PvP right now, with this comp update, this feels like a Band-Aid more than anything.
Yeah. And that's what I've been seeing a lot too on Twitter. It's just like it's a step in the right direction, but like a small step. And several more need to be taken.
So I do want to cut in. The Destiny 2 Lightfall trailer has aired. I just seeing a few screen grabs here. It looks really cool. It's my Blade Runner fantasies. So
I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think this looks really, really good. Kevin Conroy's final appearance as Batman will be in the Suicide Squad game. It has been confirmed as well. So I know a lot of us really love superheroes. So I am seeing people say that who were not jazzed about this new season already, who were down on the last couple, saying after this 1.5-minute trailer, and now I'm excited for Destiny again. So I'm excited to watch this. Let's see. Somebody says here in the in the comments of the actual trailer. The part where they use Strand to grab the Thunder Crash is jaw-dropping. Okay. I'm here for it. Man. All right. While we talk, I'm gonna play this in the background because I gotta check this out.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna also do that.
I do. I said we weren't gonna do this, but goddamn, the aesthetic of like all the weapons, it's like Season of the Splicer turned up to 12. This looks really, really good.
Plus, like Blade Runner, plus like Cyberpunk.
Yeah, this is very cyberpunk-esque. I'm gonna watch this on mute, so I don't have Osiris talking over you in my ears. This looks really cool. The new Hunter Shatter Dive, whatever it is, looks really cool. The weapons look awesome. There's
Strand looks dope as hell.
I just saw the Thunder Crash thing. Yeah, this is like my greatest fantasy come to life in this game.
There are tanks.
There's fucking tanks everywhere, like futuristic tanks. Strand looks awesome.
Yeah, Strand looks really,
I'm
fun.
very excited to see how this changes the game forever. The Tormentors look really cool. God damn it. Yeah, okay. It's amazing how like Bungie's marketing can like make us forgive like so much of the shit that we see. The Hunter Super looks kind of cool. The cutscenes are breathtaking.
Oh yeah,
what they're showing here, the space scenes. You're holding on to a ship. Man, I
see a slight part of it kind of looks like the Vex and Cabal are maybe fighting together. See, like one scene it did, one scene it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember there's different collectives of the Vex. Like we've had a collective of the Vex that have helped us before, right?
Yeah.
So that's important to remember. The scene that I want to call attention to here is towards the end of the trailer. It's right before the scenes with the Witness, but it's when our Guardian is out on one of the ships, one of the big ships. And looks like they're grabbing onto the ship as it like jumps to light speed. This would not shock me if this is us leaving Seoul. I've said for a little while that I really feel that we have only seen bits and pieces of what the campaign will actually show us. I do not think the whole campaign takes place on Neomuna. But that also may be from like later on in this. Kind of looks like you get the Silver Surfer glider at some point.
I saw that, yeah.
This trailer looks really bitchin'. I encourage everyone to go watch it. Very excited for it.
If they make that a Sparrow, I will pay $30 cash.
Yeah, I do.
To the designer.
Like I'm prepared to open my wallet up. I will take out
a small loan with my car as collateral
with my car as collateral. I hate you. Just spoken like A1 Johnny would be proud of you. But yeah, so okay. With all that deviation, though, no, you're good. We got off the beaten path a while ago, just talking about like seasons and whatnot. I do think that this is a little bit of a stronger start to the season than Plunder was for sure. I think like narrative wise, we're exploring things that the community has wanted for a long time with Rasputin, with Clovis, Anna's back in the fray. Obviously, Osiris is back in the game. Excited to see where this goes over the next several weeks. I'm actually kind of glad that we're going to have like 2 or 3 weeks off. And then we'll be coming back to talk about the narrative because it's like, oh, yes, thank God it'll all be stored up. It's really hard.
That'll be a thick episode.
That'll be a really thick episode. Thick with 3 C's. 3 C's, man. John kind of pointed this out in the Discord earlier. He was like, it's really hard to give impressions on a story or on weapons like 24 hours into a release. And I totally agree with that. The only thing I will absolutely say, one, the pulse slaps. The stasis pulse slaps. Go get it. It's awesome. The trace rifle, also awesome. Really enjoy both of those weapons. Can I tell you what sucks? This fucking SMG. Manticore is... I fucking hate this thing.
I used it in the first mission for like a minute and a half.
I used it and to get 50 kills with an SMG to like kickstart the Catalyst quest, and then I was like, oh god, that's right, I have to keep using this thing. That is being that got thrown straight into my vault. I have no intention of touching it. If you like this gun, and I have seen people say they like it because they like fighting in the air, they like aerial combat, cool. I felt like a fucking target just sitting out in the open. Like, I was getting killed in regular ass strikes using this thing. So
I felt like a dork because I was floating, but
I'm a fucking hunter hovering in midair.
And I'm like, all right, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, a whole lot of good my 105 resilience did me, let me tell you.
Yeah.
No, I fucking hate this thing. This thing's awful. More detailed thoughts coming when I can get them together over the Christmas break, but god, this is... In a year of underwhelming exotics in the season pass, this takes the fucking cake as far as I'm concerned. This is awful. Trespasser.
Yeah,
Trespasser was
I was
fine.
about to bring it up.
What was the one that we got? Well, I can't even remember what we got in Plunder. Honestly, at this point,
Delicate Tomb. That one's good.
Delicate Tomb is Delicate Tomb is fine. I just personally didn't vibe with it a lot. Yeah, I personally didn't play with it a lot.
Me either, but
Grand Overture is more of a novelty than anything, which I'm kind of fine with goofy weapons.
I think that is what the season pass exotic should be.
I think they should be fun. Goofy fun.
But then you put Witherhoard in the game, and that's had a reign for what, 2 years now.
Witherhoard, I would argue, is still, even with the nerf this season, is probably still an essential exotic.
They nerfed the shit out of it, and it's still great.
Oh, I remember, dude. They had to deliver a nerf as soon as it came out, and it's still been one of the top weapons since.
Yeah, it's just really good.
Yeah. I think they were afraid of doing that again because you look at the Beyond Light pass exotics, and I wasn't too jazzed by most of those either. I think that this is all fine and dandy, great. There's another discussion coming, and I'm kind of previewing things that we're going to talk about in the coming weeks, and I feel bad for Joe, but we're going to talk ritual weapons also. I want to talk about rituals because I don't know what part they play in the sandbox anymore. I think Bife had a really good take on them that seasoned players who have a ton of god rolls of every type of weapon in their vault probably find these underwhelming. I saw him and True Vanguard were talking about this on Twitter, and because True was the one that I saw that was oh, the pulse fucking sucks. This thing sucks. Go use the stasis pulse they give you. It's so much better. And Bife's reaction to it was pretty measured. He's that's disappointing if true, but he's I think we have to remember that these weapons aren't the greatest in the world, and they're not supposed to be. If we remember what Bungie said, they don't intend for these to be the end all, but they want them to be a viable option for most players. The top 10% of players, yeah, we're probably not going to have these in our loadouts, but you can't pretend that Null Composure didn't fucking wreck for 9 months.
But it did not wreck in its season, though.
No, it didn't. It took the season after and a special mod, but that was in how many people's loadouts for for a while?
I think Plunder nailed that aspect perfecely. Mm-hmm. I think the ritual
Crime Mutiny is a fucking blast.
Should be a fun season themed weapon. This season, they should have done a Seraph pulse rifle, because that doesn't exist, right?
Don't even talk to me. So
that's what it should always be.
Let's look at these rituals that we've gotten. I'm gonna ignore the ones that have been sunset. So things like Buzzard and Komodo, Edgewise, we're gonna ignore all of those.
What even are those?
Yeah, we're gonna ignore those. Those are from forever ago. So let's talk about the ones that are still in the game. So Cry Mutiny. Great. We love it. It's a novelty gun. Doesn't really have a whole lot of use, but it's a lot of fucking fun.
Oh, yeah.
Where Adored was fine.
Solid choice. It's a good
Adored
PvP
to
sniper.
me kind of highlights what I think that a ritual weapon should be. It wasn't the absolute greatest thing, but it was probably the third best sniper in the game at the time. That is
It was the
perfectly
kind
fine.
of thing, if you had it in your loadout, you wouldn't need to go digging around in your vault for a sniper. It's like, oh, I'll throw that on.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I mean, and it had Warple baked into it, which meant that
Mhm.
it was fine. Triple tap. You had the option between triple tap and Warple. Like that was perfectly fine, especially when you have anti barrier sniper rifle. That's a great choice to go in and use,
Mhm.
especially for players who like may not have like the deepest bench of weapons. Reckless Endangerment was the shotgun in Risen. I actually did not use this because I personally like don't really care about most of the ritual weapons. I was playing around
Yeah.
with this the last couple of days though, working on some Moments of Triumph stuff. I actually really enjoy this. I don't think it's
It's a
like
good shotgun. It feels like it hits the target when you get, because some shotguns, like they don't feel like they like hit the target
Mhm.
or like half hit it.
It was good. You had Chain of Command in Haunted. I think we can all agree Chain of Command. It's fine. It's fine.
I
It's
don't
not.
even remember. Yeah.
Yeah,
What was on that?
it's the LMG. It's fine. Ascendancy. Okay, I do really like Ascendancy. I thought Ascendancy was really
Ascendancy
good.
was awesome. Yeah.
Ascendancy
Like
was awesome. It
that was
still
a
has its
solid one.
moments where it comes back. Of course, we've talked about Null Composure, and then the one, and I think this is what they're trying to avoid, and that's why like this year maybe the
I
ritual
know what
weapons
you're
have felt a
getting at.
little underwhelming. Salvage or Salvo,
Salvage salvo. Good
because
old.
this gun is it's still like a top of the class. It's still a top of the class weapon.
Oh yeah.
So like I get what like you look at last year, you had Adored, Salvage or Salvo, Null Composure, and Ascendancy. That's a pretty good lineup. I think that
Oh
like
yeah.
with the obvious outlier in Salvagers, those are probably what these weapons should be. And then you look at it now, and you've had Chain of Command, you've had Reckless Endangerment, you've had um we just said Crime Mutiny, and you have the
Crime.
Pulse that you have the Pulse this season. The Pulse seems like consensually out of those 8, that's probably like the most disappointing one.
Oh yeah.
And like that's fine. Think about how many fucking good pulse rifles we have in this game right now. Look at like
Oh yeah.
this season alone, we're getting like 3 other pulses added. We're getting an exotic pulse in 2 weeks. I'm so excited for this.
That
Like,
has 3 catalysts or four
dude,
catalysts.
this
It's
is
crazy.
like this is a love letter to me. They're like, Josh, we know that we're going to force you to sit through a storyline you don't care about. It was so bad I was making jokes that I really hope that they let me put Rasputin into a gun just so I can vault the storyline forever.
Imagine if at the end of this season, a witness just like shows up and just like cracks that engram.
Oh God, dude, don't tempt me
Bye
with a
bye
good. Do
Rasputin.
not tempt me with a good time.
Just gone
Do
instantly.
not tempt me with a good time. I would be ecstatic if that fucking happens.
That
Um.
I would be a big loss too, honestly. Like the whole
Oh,
arsenal or whatever gone.
well, I mean, his arsenal
Enemy
was
hands.
basically like throwing paper clips at a car, so it basically did nothing. But I do think that a discussion that needs to happen is like, what's the role of ritual weapons going forward? Because I do get why hardcore players would be fairly disappointed by the ones we've gotten this year, and I think you have every right to. I do think there are obviously better LMG choices than Chain of Command. There are obviously better heavy grenade launcher choices than Crime Mutiny. Crime Mutiny is just fun to use. It's incandescent cannonballs.
See,
That's
the
hilarious.
thing that I love about Crime Mutiny is it has personality to it.
Yeah, I would agree. I
As
would agree with that.
the only guns, like the only legendary guns with static rolls, they should have personality to them.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Crime Mutiny does.
Crime Mutant is fun. And then, I mean, when Reckless Endangerment came out, Reese Walker was still a pretty obtainable weapon. So now
Yep.
with Reese Walker out, like, okay, you want a snappy lightweight shotgun? That's not a horrible choice. Like, I understand why this is underwhelming for like those top 10% players, but I think for everybody else, it's like, man, this is an opportunity to have like a gun that's maybe not meta, but like really good. Like Salvage or Salvo is Breach and Clear is back, baby. I'm busting out Salvagers this season. I'm
Yeah, I'm
absolutely taking
probably gonna stick with
Salvagers.
my forbearance because
Yeah,
it's
I
just
mean
like
that's fair. I'm not a big grenade launcher guy, breach loader, but I did really like Salvagers. I got decent at using it, so I really like using it now. Um, yeah, I mean, God, what else is this season bringing us? So we found out that we are getting. It's not really a secret mission because they're telling us about it, but it's a mission that's going to evolve over time on an orbital platform above Earth. Which no idea why we're just now finding out about this, and now it feels a little random, but whatever.
Exactly.
I'll let bygones be bygones. You're gonna tell me that
Well, the
Gaul didn't blast us out of the fucking sky when he showed up.
yeah, I was just like, let's leave that. But I mean, the person who runs Destiny's Twitter account did
Mhm.
tell us that Zevirath is back. I mean, anything can happen now.
It's true.
Destiny Twitter
Literally
is
anything can
canon.
happen. I did laugh really hard when I saw some people going, "Oh my god, this is going to be this is the Morning Star station." I'm like, "No, the Morning Star is scattered across the planet of Europa. Like this is absolutely not what you think it is. The space station from Deepstone was in fact destroyed by us in the raid."
Yeah, we
So,
plummeted it into the ground.
dude, it
Do
just
people forget that like we took it down and we inserted Tenix into a shank body?
yeah, tough look for
Our
my guy.
actions.
Tough look for my guy.
By the way, is the Watcher in that spire Tenix?
Oh god, I swear to fucking god, if it's somebody that we've seen before, I'm gonna scream. I do find it curious that this is going that the dungeon is going to be on Mars. We've already talked about that. I like that it's that at least makes a little bit more sense with it being a Warmind season. I don't entirely hate it. I'm excited for this evolving mission. I'm excited to see what the dungeon is like. We do know that when the Seraph platform opens up, Seraph Station, whatever the fuck it's called, opens up on the 20th of December, which great move to put it out the week of Christmas, by the way. Nothing can possibly go wrong with this. Um, Personally, I would have held this until after the first of the year, but I don't work at Bungie.
Or just don't mention it at all and then drop it on us.
I think
week.
I think they had to mention this one. I think they really truly had to come out and mention this because otherwise people would have been like, "This is it for the season." Really?
Yeah.
It's a catch-22. It would have been found in the files anyways. We did actually get an explanation about why they can't do secret missions. It's that they're choosing not to because the level of encryption that they have to try and do is just like out of this world because people data mine everything. Yeah. So basically, the data miners are to blame. Go blame a few of the guys that spoiled Lightfall for everybody the week it got announced. Those are the guys you can go blame.
Destiny 2 leaks. We're talking about you.
Yeah, man, I've like hard swung around to the stance of yank the API codes of like literally everybody that's not Dim and maybe a couple of other developers. Like genuinely just yank everybody's because nothing good can come out. I mean, dude, we had people were flaunting that they were data mining the API, flaunting around the dungeon name and the title and the armor and everything else. And it's just like, guys, come on! Like, can y'all not data mine shit on the first day? Like, if you want to go data mine Eververse or like what days the exotics are going to be available, like I'm cool with things like that because those are things that genuinely help everyone. Bungie doesn't seem to have a problem. What I think they have a problem with is y'all going and sharing images of everything you're going to fucking earn in game. I understand that it's 4 days away. Okay, fine. Josh, you're overreacting. Cool, great. I would have loved for them to have and been able to encrypt the Seraph platform thing as a mission, and you just log in, kind of like with Presage. You log in, and boom, it's there.
Yeah,
I would have loved that.
I just like I would have loved it too. I hate that I know what like the Lightfall raid is gonna be. I know that already.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. Really annoyed by that.
I wish it was secretive.
It's just like because people can't help leaking shit, and it makes it really hard to avoid it sometimes. Destiny Twitter likes to share this shit left and right. It's largely why I've unfollowed all but just a handful of people in the community at this point. I tend to just like kind of keep within our own Discord and that's that. At that point, it's my fault if I go look at the spoiler channel. Um, but so like cat's out of the bag. Like Joe and I have definitely seen what the armor and the weapons look like, what the exotic bow is. Um, yes, I just told you it's an exotic bow. Sue me. The dungeon is
Leak.
available. When you're listening to this, it's
Yeah, the
available. Like,
dungeon's already out.
yeah, I'm like
So.
completely fine with this. I'm not actually like spoiling anything for you. If you are listening to this right as it posts and you haven't been able to do the dungeon, I'm really sorry. You can come yell at me in Discord. I think that this is kind of a cool approach to this though. Like we're going back to Mars. As much as I don't like Mars, we're clearly dealing with the Warmind systems. So I am curious to see what's in there. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing how this ties into the overall narrative, because that's one of the things I really liked about Shattered Throne and about Pit of Heresy and Duality is that they all told stories. Grasp of Avarice was like a fun little like side thing that didn't matter, and Prophecy, still don't think we really grasped what Prophecy was about. That was just some wacky shit. I'm
That was
looking
just
for
like the 9 gave the Guardians some acid, and we're like,
pretty
come
much over. Like here's space drugs. You smoked a peace pipe with Drifter for too long. I'm curious to see how this ties into the overall season, because I think that's part of the problem with throwing a dungeon out 4 days into the season is how can you tie that into the seasonal narrative? And I think Duality did that really well with, oh, you're inside Callus's mind. You're performing a severance on Callus. That was kind of cool, and I think that was an interesting twist that you fight his image of Keitel.
Yeah, like that was a really fun experience.
That was a cool twist.
Like,
I really enjoyed that.
We got to fight a friendly person.
So I want to know how this ties in. I have to think that this is like the first step to like unlocking the Seraph platform.
Yeah.
But also like, how is this going to change the game? I saw a theory that like, oh, maybe this means we'll get Mars as a patrol destination. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to happen, because we would already know if that was going to happen. It literally, because of fucking data miners, we would already know. I would love.
So there are 3 pieces of armor.
There are 3 pieces of armor.
Out yet.
You're absolutely right. I've been kind of waiting to see when those are going to come into play. I have a feeling, because they didn't talk about them in any TWABs, they're not in any marketing or anything. I kind of wonder if they're going to be held for like the Master Dungeon.
Maybe. I think it would be really cool.
Seraph platform.
See, that would be something interesting they could do in like a dungeon. Instead of doing an exotic weapon, do an armor piece for each class. That is like special.
I would like that, but I think that would kind of kill the replayability of it. The second that you get a god roll on it, you're never going to touch it again.
That's true, I guess.
And I know the same can be said about the exotic weapon, too. I guess I'm just trying to play like a little bit of devil's advocate. I would like to see a shakeup to how the exotic armor is dealt out, though. Like, I think that if it's been in the Lost Sectors for 4 seasons, it needs to be rotated out.
Yeah.
I think it's absurd that things that were put in the Lost Sectors back in Chosen are still in the Lost Sectors.
Or we need a way to focus it.
Yeah, focusing you absolutely need, because, again, like the horror stories, like, I mean, I've done it myself. I've done like 25 runs of a Lost Sector. I'd have come away with 1 piece of armor, and it
one
wasn't
piece
the piece
that
I
you
needed.
didn't want, that has a terrible roll on it.
Has a terrible roll. Like there's got to be some improvement on that end. Again, like topics for another time, I guess.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on like this opening week of the season before we jump into a few other little topics? And we got a bunch of questions tonight too.
I thought it was a strong start, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that they put out 2 battlegrounds at launch.
Yeah, big fan of the playlist is already there right away.
Yeah. I absolutely love that they did they cap your light 5 under the enemy. It doesn't make it like super hard. It just makes you have to play a little more conservatively.
I enjoy that this feels like more of a challenge than just like going through the motions. And to be fair, I felt that way about the psyops also. The psyops were also a little bit of a challenge when they first came out, and especially when you go to the master ones, they were definitely a challenge. I enjoy that, because one of the things that we've praised about the Witch Queen is, and like the overall year of content, is enemy density.
Yes.
And it feels really good. Like when you have 6 people, enemy density doesn't feel like as grand, but when it's only 3, you feel it. And we
Mm-hmm.
were talking about the mission on Europa. That I think highlights this kind of perfectly, like in a way that we haven't probably seen since the legendary Witch Queen campaign. And just
Yeah.
it feels like just an absolute onslaught of enemies spawning in. You're constantly breaking shields. I do appreciate that it's not a darkness zone though.
Yes.
I think that is forgiving. There are not champs in that specific boss room either, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Um, I like where they're going. I want to see where the story ultimately ends up because I mean it can't be any worse than us having tea, right? Even if Osiris's first advice to Anna is make a cup of tea. Um, Joe, in addition to this, we also got Moments of Triumph on Tuesday.
We
Moments of
did.
Triumph started up. I loved logging in and finding out I already earned my T-shirt. That was fun.
Yeah.
Love when that happens. And I kind of looked at everything else and I was like, damn, I
Like,
really
all right,
just
I'm
like,
done.
I'm not going to buy the seal. I don't care about the title. Yes, I'm skipping a seal, everybody. I think the design looks okay, but and like if I get there naturally, I get there naturally. I'm not gonna like go out of my way to like go buy this. I like that there is another customizable option for the shirt. You can get a raid and dungeon patch. I don't like that said
Ooh.
patch is $15
Each?
each. The patch is $15
Oh my god.
plus shipping from the Bungie store, so you know that's going to be expensive because of whatever.
So it's gonna be about $200,
Dude,
huh?
it's fucking ludicrous. So let me tell you about the saga with the Bungie store that I'm currently in right now. I bought the Moments of Triumph shirt last year, pretty much on like the last day you possibly could, because I tend to like buy them towards the end of seasons so that I can get like double emblems or something because like there's almost
Yeah.
always a promotional thing that goes on. Or I
Yeah.
try to buy them like during the Christmas event or like things like the Black Friday event, etc. I try to buy them so I have extra emblems to give away.
Hmm.
And I was looking at my orders a few months ago and I realized I still hadn't gotten my shirt. And they told me 4 to 6 months. And I was like, okay, I'm coming up on 6 months. And it was right about the time my apartment flooded. They emailed me like the next day and were like, yeah, we're expecting this to leave the warehouse in September and be shipped to you. And I was like, oh shit, I need to update all my shipping information. So like all my orders, like all my seal pins and stuff. I had 2 seal pins show up a couple weeks ago. I had my Valor Disciple one and I had my one of my seasonal ones show up. I think my Risen seal both showed up,
Hmm.
or my Witch Queen. It was my Witch Queen campaign seal. Excuse me. I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay, and I didn't think anything of the T-shirt. And then I got an email from them a couple days ago saying, so we got your shirt, but the quality was really, really bad on this batch. So we're sending them back to the printer. The printer is going to have to reprint them. It's going to take another 6 to 8 weeks to get your shirt. But, and this is a first, we are going to refund your shirt price and your shipping and send it to you free of charge because it's taken so long. I'm like, well, thanks, because I might get this shirt before Lightfall comes out. I might receive this before then.
Josh will be 43 years old when he gets the shirt.
I'm just like, goddamn. Like, I tend to like the Moments of Triumph shirts. I didn't even get mine like personalized or anything. I just ordered the regular ass T-shirt. I can't believe it's taking this long. So I was a little hesitant on like, I don't think I'm gonna buy a Moments of Triumph shirt, and then I saw it and I was like, damn, this actually looks kind of cool this year. I actually really like
They
this
always
one.
get you. They're always
Always
like,
get me.
I don't want to spend so much on this, but it looks awesome. So click.
It looks awesome. I like the idea that yeah, they talk here in the TWAB also. You get a special emblem also if you get the shirt this year, which I think is kind of cool. You get the
Mhm.
same logo that is on the shirt, on the emblem. It is worth noting that tomorrow today with the God, I keep saying tomorrow. Today with the dungeon coming out, there will be other rewards for the
Today
season that will
for
be
you
added.
guys, yesterday for
There is a
me and
Tex
Josh.
Machina Henley that will be in the store. And let me tell you something. I will absolutely be buying that shirt. I haven't even seen it, and I will be buying that shirt. I am a sucker for long sleeve shirts. Even though I live in Texas, I'm a sucker for them. I like wearing long sleeve and 3/4 shirts with shorts like year round. So I'll absolutely be getting in on this. Um,
See, I'm strange. I love long sleeve shirts and like sweatshirts, but like rolling up the sleeves.
yeah, I do that habitually too, especially when I'm working. But I keep my apartment
I
really
know it
nice and
ruins
cool.
them, but like I like it.
It definitely stretches them out, that's for sure. Um,
Ruins the arms.
it definitely ruins the arms. What else was I? What else were we going to try to get to tonight? Um, well, while I'm trying to remember, we're going to shift over to questions because I don't want to like sit here and stagnate on this all night. Question time. Probably no lore corner tonight, frankly, because nothing's updated in the API. Everything can get leaked, but we can't get lore updated in the API. It's really frustrating. So first off, Joe, I need your answer to the question that you asked last, or that we got asked last week. I think you were the one who asked it.
The class question.
Class and subclass.
Okay,
Yes, I need
so
you to create a class and a subclass.
by class I meant like warlock, hunter, titan, and then
Oh
this
God, it's
class.
even worse than I thought.
I do have an answer for it though, but it's kind of long.
Go for it.
Up to you.
Nope, the floor
Okay,
is yours.
so the class that I made is called Siren.
Okay.
It's an arc subclass called Songweaver, and the super is you emit the song of the siren, disorienting nearby enemies and blinding them temporarily. Do increased damage to serenaded targets and acquire stacks of ability regen potency based on the number of targets serenaded. So a nightmare in PvP, but there we
Okay.
go.
Well, there you have it. Bungie, you may need to get at Joe. I don't know if we can handle any more terrorism in PvP though.
That would be a nightmare in PvP, but fun in PvE.
Yeah, that would be a blast. And I think like that's part of this is like it would be a lot more fun if we didn't have to balance between two different things.
Yeah.
I think that's slightly, ever so slightly frustrating. Um, but hey, it's question time, man. Questions. Whew.
Right.
Tiger Jesus 64 writes in, what is something you played in your break from Destiny that you would add in Destiny? So, what is an element from a game that we've played when we're taking breaks from this game that we would add in here?
You go first. I'll think.
Um, so this kind of goes along with a question that we're going to be asked later on. I would absolutely, I played a lot of Fortnite. I would absolutely add more armor sets and more skins. I would shake it up in the season pass because it's really, I don't want to say it's frustrating, but it has kind of gotten a little stale that like, oh, we get a lot of shit handed to us that is in game already, that is like materials and whatnot and
Yeah.
currencies. And like, I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, you have to give us like 7 armor sets in the past. Like, no, not at all. I actually think I would argue for more like weapon skins, like maybe some of the exotic skins that you put in Eververse, like 1 or 2 of those could go into the pass each season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like I look at this season and I go, oh, so like I personally think that the solar arc and void ornaments should have gone into the pass additionally. Um, especially when you look at, oh, last season we bumped the arc armor for the Fortnite stuff, and then this season we have the arc armor in there. We have the Assassin's Creed set. We're gonna have the Dawning set. Like, where does it like where does this end? You know, that's 3 sets you're gonna have in Eververse in the span of 2 weeks because Dawning starts on Tuesday. I think that's a
Yeah.
little. I think that's a little silly. I think you could stand to add some of this stuff, not just to this, but like if you included, you can still sell like the armor, like let's take for instance the mech armor that we just had for Festival of the Lost. If you took that and put that in the event card and like that was part of it, I would probably buy the event card more because I'd see it as, oh, I'm buying the armor already, but I'm going to get a few extra cosmetics for like $3 more.
Yeah, that's what I didn't really get about the event card.
I
Is
think
like
that
it
the other
didn't
thing you need
feel
to do
worth it.
is we got to like drastically reduce the cost in the shop.
Yeah.
I've played some other games, not Fortnite, but I've played a few other games where like I feel like the prices are a little bit more fair. I understand that part of the deal is like looking cool and things like that, but we got to reduce the cost, and especially on the. I would say the other thing that I'd like to take from Fortnite is make the emotes better, because the emotes in Destiny are super underwhelming after you've played Fortnite. I'm not saying like
Yeah.
I need like licensed music, and I don't want to see like a bunch of Titans hitting the gritty in comp, but I
Why not?
need something better.
Yeah.
The emotes were cool when that's all that we really had, but like I feel almost every other game does emotes better now.
Yeah, we also need a wheel instead
God,
of
I'm so tired of
only
asking
having
for the
four.
emote. I'm so tired of asking for an emote wheel at this point. It's not even funny. This was a conversation we were having back in Curse of Osiris. I'm over having the emote wheel discussion, frankly. Joe, what
I
would
mean,
you
like
take from a
when
game that
you
you've
have
played?
35, it's just like what should happen. Um, See, the problem is I don't play much else besides Destiny. I've been playing a lot of Modern Warfare,
Okay.
and what I liked about that campaign itself is it seemed like each mission they went for like a different style of game. So like there was a mission that was like heavily influenced by like Hitman.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see some more like one-off strikes where it's like different kind of things like that, and also party games
Party
in
games. Okay.
DP.
So
So
hit
like
me.
gun game, like
Okay.
I
Okay.
exotic gun game would be a slam dunk in my own opinion.
Yeah, I would like that. I would actually love a big mode like Ground War.
Oh
Um
yes.
it's like a battlefield style mode. I don't know how you would do that without frames dropping drastically and like power balances and stuff, but I think that could be really fun.
Well,
Um
they kind of did it in Destiny 1, just on like a smaller scale.
yeah, we had combined arms, and I
Yeah.
still don't know how I feel about that ultimately. Um
I
oh
don't know.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are. I think those are some pretty solid suggestions. Oh god damn it! I hate when my phone locks on me. Um, Nerd Generalist asks, next exotic that you think should get the nerf, actual IRL nerf treatment. Corey and I kind of played with this idea over the summer when the nerf Gallarhorn went up for order. And I think back then that's when we decided on the Divinity Super Soaker.
That,
I
that's a good one.
So I think I would love to see. There's a couple different ones. I think because Nerf is no longer just guns, you could make a Le Monarch one that would be really cool. You do Le
That
Monarch
would
or
be
like
dope.
Tikus, just because of like the absurd size of it.
If they
Um,
made Tikus that could shoot 3 arrows,
that'd be really cool.
that would be awesome.
That's where I'm getting at. Quicksilver Storm, I think, would probably be my pick because of the alternate fire modes. You could have one that
Shoot
shoots
rockets and
like
shit.
the
Ooh.
little like standard Nerf bullets. You could have a mode that like when you like I don't know turn the barrel or something, it shoots quote grenades, and it's like the big circular Nerf pellets. And
Mhm.
then you could have like one big one that's like the missile. You could have a really cool. You could really have a really cool mode with that. I think
Swaps out the mag and
that thing would
you just
absolutely
fire a
cost
missile.
like three
Oh
hundred
my god!
dollars, but
Which
it would be really fun.
Josh would would pay it, Bungie.
I
So
would not.
get to work.
I would not. I have a limit to what I'm willing to pay for. The Gallarhorn literally is only because it's Gallarhorn.
At the top, yeah.
Yeah,
Galahorn is like
it's iconic.
one of those
It's
like yeah.
iconic. I have regretted forever not buying the McFarlane Iron Gallarhorn from years ago, and this was the only way to remedy that. If I owned that, I probably would not be buying the Nerf one. I'm going to be totally real with everybody.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've seen that one dude on Twitter, but he think his name is like Metaguns.
Yeah, I follow Metaguns.
And yeah, and like whenever I got the disposable income, I'm buying something.
I really want to buy an Osteostriga from him.
They look amazing.
Joe, what would you make into a Nerf gun from this game?
Dead Man's Tail, baby.
Dead Man's Tail. Okay, yeah, gotta agree.
I think a lever action Nerf gun would change the game. Like,
oh, it would absolutely wreck.
I think that
would
be amazing.
I would absolutely love it.
And imagine a Nerf Dead Man's Tail ornament too.
Oh, I'm imagining it. It's gonna look goofy as all hell.
And I love it.
Zao Ambrosia asks, if you could change the seasonal model, what would you do? I feel like we talked about this earlier in the show. I think we would make it like more streamlined in terms of the upgrades. Make it a little bit easier to kind of understand and get through the season, especially. And I would do a more
filler.
Yeah, less filler. I think I would do a more healthy balance of 6-player versus 3-player activities. I kind of prefer the smaller activities that can be reused in a playlist. Like when the year is over, you can still use some of those activities still. And still tell some of the stories. Like I think that would be fairly healthy to do. I don't know. I feel like we talked about that. We talked about like having like some kind of like goofier seasonal themed weapons too. What you got here, Joe?
I don't really see, like, that's the thing. Like, I don't have a problem with a seasonal model. I just think they need to innovate and like shake the things up a little more often.
I would agree. I would agree.
Which I know like is easier said than done, but like if you eat a burger every day, you're gonna get you're gonna never ever want a burger again in like a month. like it's if you keep at the same thing every week, and like all of the seasonal upgrade tracks for the past like 2 years have looked borderline identical.
Exactly.
So it's just like it's getting a little tiring. Like I think this season they've mixed in a few more missions, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just less. Never again do I want to do an expedition. Let's just say that.
Never again will we do an expedition. I agree.
Not a fan.
Zao also asks, he has a non-Destiny question. Top 5 pizzas. I'm going to take this as like top 5 like pizza styles or toppings. I'm not going to take this as like chains, because then you get into like personal and like local joints and stuff. And
which like
it's hard.
No one really eats consistently at a chain. Like
no,
the local spots are always like
the local spots are where it's at. I mean, like I could rattle off like 4 local places for you that I've had before that would absolutely be my top. Like my favorite meal I've ever had was pizza. So
yeah.
Exactly. Pequod's in Chicago, baby. So okay, if we're doing styles, then I'm gonna assume that this is like deep dish, thin crust, Detroit style, things like that.
It could be style, or it could be toppings.
So if it's toppings, okay. So yeah, this is kind of hard for me. Okay, so
I don't think I could name 5 pizza styles.
I could, because I live with the pizza queen, but
the pizza queen.
Yes, my girlfriend loves pizza. That is her favorite thing on earth is pizza. In terms, okay, so we're gonna take this as pizza toppings. If it's wrong, Zao, write back in, tell me, and I will talk about pizza again next week. My favorite toppings on pizza. So I'm gonna buffalo chicken. Buffalo chicken's fucking delicious on pizza.
Oh yeah.
Really like any kind of chicken. Buffalo chicken, barbecue chicken. I just prefer the spice. I like the spicy, like on the cheese. It's great. I like that. I love olives. If I have an excuse to put olives on something, I'm going to put them on. Black olives, green olives, it doesn't matter. I'm going to put them on. There is a local pizza joint that will put both of those on the pizza for me, and it's just heaven on earth. I'm a big fan of sweet and savory, so this is kind of cheating, but Canadian bacon and pineapple together Love it. Absolutely love it. Sprinkle a little bit of salt on there, and it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, this is a Hawaiian pizza friendly podcast lineup.
So,
We
have
have
you
today,
ever
guys.
had
So
Hawaiian pizza with barbecue chicken on it?
I have not, but I think that would
That
be amazing.
I'm not a
So
very religious person, but that is like the closest to God that I think I've ever felt. That almost convinced me that there is some great power out there.
that needs to be a new Tower Casuals merch idea. This pizza made me believe.
This pizza made me believe in God. And then I mean,
Corey, get on it.
for my last one, I mean, you. Well, I guess I've got two more. I like a good Supreme. I like a good Supreme pizza.
Supreme's good.
Big fan of everything on there except for like mushrooms. I always have to take mushrooms off. I hate mushrooms. And I like cooking with them. I don't like eating them. And then last but not least, I mean, you can't go wrong with the classic pepperoni, sausage, and extra cheese.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You can't
now you're talking.
You can't go wrong with it. Joe, give me your top 5 pizzas.
All right, so first up, classic pepperoni and fresh garlic. All day.
Okay, I can dig it.
Second, I like a nice pepperoni and sausage.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, come on. This is a safe place for pepperoni and sausage.
Exactly. Good old sausage. Third, I'm a big fan. Joe likes a good sausage, guys. The sausage the Aki way. So third, we got honestly, I'm a plain pizza guy. I like just plain cheese be hidden.
It depends on where it's from for me. Not all cheese pizza is created equal.
Damn.
I'm just saying there
it's
are
really not
some that I'm
bold
like
statement here.
Listen, so I don't like Papa John's. I'm not a big fan of chain pizza, but Papa John's cheese pizza after it's been in the fridge all night, sprinkle like a little bit of salt or like some seasoning salt on it is fucking phenomenal. Maybe that's the alcohol talking, but it's really good.
Another thing, are you a fan of cold pizza?
Yes.
Cold pizza is delicious.
Who doesn't like cold pizza? What kind of Neanderthal doesn't like cold pizza?
A lot of people. And it's concerning. And then last two. I've recently become a big fan of this one place by me does chicken wing pizza.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's like actual like wing bits on it, so it's like nice and soft.
Okay.
It's good. And then taco pizza.
Taco pizza. Okay, so walk me through taco pizza.
So, taco pizza. You just cook like a pizza. You don't put sauce on it unless you want to, but don't. We got the dough. We got the cheese. You could sprinkle some cheddar on there, some mozzarella.
Okay.
Some three cheese maybe. I don't know. And then so you bake that with taco meat on it.
Okay.
And then you take it out.
And to be clear, you're doing this on pizza dough.
Yes.
Okay.
So pizza dough, sprinkle cheese. You like cook the taco meat first, then you sprinkle that on there.
Okay.
Bake it. 350. No, I'm just kidding. You bake it, and then you take it out. Then you put lettuce, tomato, some dollops of sour cream. If you want to get freaky, you could
I hate sour cream.
Crunch up some. You hate sour cream, Josh? Come on.
Oh man,
Grow up.
Listen, it was a running joke on my very first podcast back when Corey met me how much I did not like sour cream, and that joke has haunted me for years. I've gotten around to like I can have sour cream on certain things, but if I can visibly see the sour cream, I won't touch it.
Well, what kind of guy doesn't like a little sour cream every now and again? Am I right?
Me. I
Um,
like it in approximately. There are things like you can cook with it, and I'm totally fine because I can't see it. But if I can see it, it's a problem. The only thing I can eat it in that I can like, if I visibly see it, I won't just like immediately like throw my food away. Is if it is in a Crunchwrap Supreme.
yeah, because then it like binds with everything, and it
It's
makes
kind
it
of like the
nice and
glue, like it mixes in with like
yeah,
the nacho cheese and stuff. And I feel like, okay,
yeah.
I'm already probably going to get sick from this anyways. What's a little sour cream? It's when I have the chunks of tomato that bother me there, but that's a whole nother pod. So taco pizza, man, that kind of reminds me of a.
It's good. It sounds strange. It
It
every time I
sounds borderline
d-
disgusting. I'm going to be
describe it,
honest.
it's you gotta
So
understand though.
I'm gonna float something by you. And this is a pizza I had when I haven't seen it since I was in high school, but when I was younger, I was a connoisseur of Cece's Pizza. Okay,
Mm,
my dad would take me and my buddies there. If I had a friend that stayed the night,
$5.
he would take us there. That was no, it was $3.99. Cece's Pizza,
Really?
all you can eat for $3.99. That was their fucking commercial jingle.
How were they making money?
I don't
Like,
know.
how
I am
were they
convinced to
making
this day
money?
that the local Cece's Pizza in South Arlington, Texas, was a front for money laundering. I'm convinced.
Probably, because
But
that
that
like
was the
that you wouldn't
commercial.
even buy a
It
slice
was Cece's Pizza,
nowadays.
all you can eat for only $3.99. It was fucking great. It wove itself into my brain. Like that's a core memory right there, man. But the dude who ran the shop made a macaroni and cheese pizza. And let me tell you something. I ate this on a dare one night, okay? Because I was absolutely convinced there is no way that this can be good. That shit was
I bet it
absolutely
was amazing.
delicious. That shit was delicious,
I told you.
but I have never, and I mean never, had a reaction to pizza the way I did that. I I was afraid to go back to Cece's after eating that because that was so delicious. But the way that people talk about Taco Bell, that was my experience with the macaroni and cheese pizza from Cece's. It hurt so good.
It hurts so
It
good.
hurts so good. But
God,
macaroni and cheese pizza,
Josh
kids.
with the taglines tonight.
Josh with the taglines tonight. All right. Our next question. Ronnie writes in. Are we spoiled thinking that seasons should bring game-changing things instead of looking at them as bonus DLC in between bigger expansions? Yeah, we are. As a community, I think we're a little spoiled. Again, I think we touched on this throughout the episode. They should be seen as like I think supplemental stories and like building up to the next expansion. Um, I find it really interesting that we've largely kept the storylines of Keitel and Mithrax to the seasonal stories, and like everything else kind of gets dealt with in expansions. I find that intriguing because they've made it essential for the seasons to be played now. You didn't feel like they were essential during Shadowkeep because Undying sucked and Worthy sucked.
Because they weren't.
Dawn
Like in
Dawn was
general.
cool though. Like Dawn, we
Yeah.
saved Saint. But there was a certain point where up until the pyramid and up until like the pyramid ships and space Doritos showed up at the beginning of June of 2020, you could be forgiven for thinking that these seasons are not essential. Hell, even after Hunt, I think some of us were like, "Man, was Arrivals like a one-off?" And then that's when you got Chosen, Splicer, Lost, and Risen like all in a row. I think they're telling better and better stories, but I think when you look at this, I don't know what I just knocked over. I think that you have to remember that you are paying $10 for this. You are paying $10 for this plus your seasonal rewards. So an armor set alone, if you were to buy the armor ornament set, we all liked the Reaper set from Season of the Haunted, correct? I'm going to assume
Yeah.
that we all liked it
Oh yeah.
because it was dope as fuck. That would cost you $15. That would cost you $5 more than you paid for that season, which gave you everything on that rewards track. So it gave you that. It gave you a couple emotes, a ship, a ghost. You get a finisher in there. Like you're already, if you're looking at the monetary value of that, you're already looking at like over $30, right? You are
Mhm.
getting the seasonal storyline. You are getting access to the activities. You used to get the dungeons included. The dungeons are no longer included, so I can't use that as a selling point. But you get what I'm saying? Like, you are getting all of this for you're getting all this for $10.
It's like I think people start to forget how much things cost because a lot of
Yeah.
us buy it all at the start of the year.
Yep.
But like if you think about every other game that has like a battle pass of some sort, it's $10 and those are like purely cosmetic.
Yeah, and I mean, like, so something like we talked about Fortnite earlier and how we'd like
Yeah.
to see more skins like Fortnite. I also acknowledge that Fortnite is the only thing that Epic really makes outside of Unreal Engine. Is the only
Mhm.
gaming venture that they really have. They have other studios that they've acquired that make games, but it's the only thing Epic themselves makes. They have an entire team, probably of like hundreds of people that make skins and emotes and things like that. And that's great. It's also the biggest game in the world. You want to see some real shit? Go look at like the first few seasons of Fortnite and look at how awful those cosmetics were. It took them a
Oh
while to
yeah.
hit their stride, and I think we can all still agree that for the most part, their best stuff are the collaborations that they do. Like, there's some banger stuff in the battle pass, but usually I see like 2 3 skins in the battle pass I want to use, and then there's the licensed skins that are really fun, like Mando or Spider Gwen, or this season it's Geralt. Geralt's going to
Yeah.
be a part of it. Doomslayer is part of it. We know My Hero Academia is coming. I'm super excited about that. If you did not hear me squeal last weekend on a Saturday afternoon, seeing that My Hero Academia was coming to Fortnite, then you don't know me. I think things like that are really cool. They wouldn't fit in a game like Destiny, and I think that's why I get bothered by things like the Assassin's Creed stuff that's like completely optional. Because like, I think we all also liked, for the most part, the Fortnite armor last season that came to Destiny, and it
Oh
was
yeah.
like, damn, why can this armor look cool? We can't get any cool looking wacky shit like this in Destiny. This is really frustrating.
Yeah.
Um, so I do think that there is a bit of entitlement on the part of the community. When you look at what you're getting for $10, I don't think it's bad at all. Like, if they did any more, I see people saying like, "Oh, we should have as much content as like something like Warmind did." Like, man, Warmind was also like a $25 expansion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have said in the past that I'd be willing to move to two mini expansions a year. Like, say you had Witch Queen, and then you had a drop a few months. You had a drop like 3 or 4 months later. There was drop number one, and then you had another one like 4 months after that.
Mhm.
That was drop number two. I would be okay with that stuff if it didn't sunset. I'd be okay with that, and like maybe in the middle of drop number one is when you get the reprised rate for the year, exactly 6 months after the game came out. I would be fine with something like that if it still cost me like the $40. I would be
Yeah.
okay with a change like that. But you would have to drastically step up in-game rewards then. Like, we'd have to get new core gameplay sets for each activity. We would need to get, like, I'm talking like every time that one of those mini expansions came out, we would need not just the mini expansions but the main expansions. We would need new sets for Vanguard, Crucible, Gambit, Trials, Iron Banner, um whatever the fuck else you want to think of, the seasons. Like, you would need to have that. Like, I would be okay with shifting to that, with the understanding that, okay, you're not going to get updates as frequently, you might not get title updates as often either, and that can lead to some long-term frustration. But if that's what you have to do to like focus your energy post final shape, then I would be all for it. I think that's one way you could shake that up, and maybe that would like get the entitlement off just a little bit, and make people think like, oh man, like there's like 20 25 weapons to pursue. Yeah, because you got them all at once instead of spread out over 2 seasons, you nitwits.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be like if they could move so like call this like the Light and Dark saga, and then in between like this saga and the next saga they do like that to like try it out, and if that works well, which it's kind of going back to um what they used to do with like Curse of Osiris and Warmind and
Mm-hmm.
House of Wolves, and but I think we have higher standards now based on what we've seen them do. So they would need to step it up. But I do think that would be very good for the overall health of the game.
Yeah, I think that we need to. Again, that's a conversation I think for like post Lightfall, or not post Lightfall, for post Final Shape, that Bungie
Mhm.
needs to explore. In fact, if that was the model they shifted to after Final Shape was out, like for the DLC for Final Shape, I don't think any of us would like argue with that. We'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense if you're like prepping the next big thing, like to wrap up DLCs and whatnot. But I think
Yeah.
like that would like be like better perceived value. I don't know. Maybe you stretch the rewards track out to like 200 or 250 or something. Um, I think that Bright Engrams should be a little bit more frequent, especially when you get past the level cap. Like there's so much things you can do with the battle pass, but and I think some of the stuff in the store definitely needs to be mixed in. We need to get maybe some Engrams for these seasonal events that we get, like for Festival of the Lost and Dawning and things like that. They used to do that, and I think we need to get back to that.
Yeah.
So that's all. That like that's all fine and dandy. Um, any final thoughts here before we shift on to our last couple of questions?
Um, I don't think so. Like
I feel like
I
we've
do
covered this
think
pretty in depth for
yeah.
most of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, because we've kind of talked about this over the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
Like
we've definitely talked
it's
about
like
this.
I do think we're all complaining because we were all very happy when they shifted from the two little expansions to this, and now we want it reverted back. But I don't think seasons are bad. I just
No,
think they need to be shooken up a little bit
yeah, we
and
this has
a
worked fine for a couple of
different way to
years. It's time
feed
for
us this.
something new.
Yeah, yeah, and
This,
just don't have all of the vendor screens look identical to the last one.
yeah, it was a little rough.
And I think you're golden.
So Ronnie had one more question. He had a non-game question. What performer or band would you like to see that you haven't seen before? They have to still be alive, but don't have to currently be touring.
Still be alive. Um, I would love to see Andre 3000
Okay, that's a
because
respectable answer.
he is one of my biggest like inspirations
Yeah.
and favorite people ever. So yeah.
God, I am like trying to go through my mind of like who I haven't seen that I like because I used to work at a sports arena. I got to see a lot of live concerts.
Ooh.
So I've seen most of the performers I want to see, and I saw like a lot of them in their prime. I was fortunate enough to see Tom Petty when he was still touring. I got to see Pearl Jam. Um, I think the only group I didn't get to see that I really wanted to see was the Who. That would probably be my answer. I love the Who. Um, Absolutely
Awesome.
love them. Probably my favorite classic rock band of all time. One of the greatest musical acts of the 20th century. I would say them or the Killers. I really love the Killers, and I have somehow missed them on every fucking tour they've ever done through Dallas.
You
Um,
got to get in the next one.
God, I gotta get in the next one. I have to. I have to at this point. I feel really blessed that I got to see Foo Fighters a couple years ago. They hadn't been to Dallas in 10 years. I got to see them on the last tour, so thankfully I got to see him play with Taylor before he passed away this year.
Oh
See Metallica
yeah,
a
that's
couple
awesome.
times. I've seen. God, I saw Red Hot Chili Peppers. That was really fun. Um,
In that realm, I've seen Blink 182.
Blink 182 was
That's
awesome.
about it.
I saw him on the
Yeah.
first reunion. I was thrilled. Could not afford the second reunion, so I'm really glad I got those $20 lawn tickets the first time they got back together. I was still in high school, and it was a weeknight. I had to convince my parents to let me go to it, and totally 100% would do it again. That
Oh
was
yeah.
how I kicked. That was actually the first day of senior year of high school for me, was seeing the reunion tour. Um,
That's a quite the first day.
but this, like my, I think my all time favorite act I've gotten to see. I know this wasn't part of the question, but my all time favorite act I got to see that feels a little weird to say now, but it was back before he was completely like batshit insane.
You
Uh,
saw Kanye?
I got to see Jay Z and Kanye on
Oh,
Watch the Throne.
Kanye. Oh, I'm jealous.
That is maybe like the greatest 3 hours of music I've ever seen performed live.
I bet. I
Um,
mean, that's two of the of the, the like Kanye is crazy, but nobody can deny that he is amazing at music.
Yeah, no, that was
I don't think
incredible. That was
anybody
like
can
that was the
deny that.
height. That was the height for me of him. And I mean, I love Jay-Z, so that was really cool. They performed so many songs from the album, so many of their individual songs. I've seen Jay-Z like 3 or 4 times now.
Oh shit!
They were all really cool. He came through the arena so many times when I worked there, so that was really cool. There's
That must have been a really awesome job to
It
have.
was an awesome job. I mean,
To see.
it was stressful. I was a floor supervisor, but it was really cool how much I got to see. Um, so, anyways, moving along, we have other questions. We do still have other questions to get to. I don't know how to pronounce your name, so forgive me. But God, how do I say this? Trying to figure out what your abbreviations stand for.
Oh, it's like fight your demons.
Fight your demons. Thank you.
There you go.
Fight your demons 820. If they gave dungeons challenges, what do you think some of them would be? Giving dungeons challenges, I think, is an inevitability to give them like more of a lifespan. Like, I would not have run duality as many times as I did without needing to get a storm chaser. But I think that, like, because I normally tap out on like raids and dungeons around like the 15 run mark. I'm like, I'm good. I'm tired of running this. So I usually do it so many times in the first couple weeks it comes out, trying to get the meta weapons and now trying to get patterns and stuff. I think that giving them challenges would be really great, but some of the specific challenges, I mean, I think that's kind of hard because if we're talking about like past challenges, it's all the challenge. It's not like, oh, make it through deathless. It's it's always something like, oh, activate like
do
everything
this
at
fight
once
in a weird way.
Yeah, so like
it's like you do this in a weird, inconvenient way.
Yeah, so I don't really know how to answer that, to be frank with you. I mean, maybe one for prophecy would be like to never leave the boss's circle in the final stretch.
Yeah,
In the
like
long room.
don't get like teleported back.
Don't get teleported back. Like your stacks can't get above, like collectively can't get above 10. Something like that. I don't know. Like, don't dunk. You have to dunk. But the colors that you dunk are always like random too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Duality. I mean, I have a feeling it would just be like the same strat that everybody already does on most everything. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think we don't really have to think about it. I wanna circle back to this after we do the new dungeon and think of what some challenges might be. This might be something that we have to tackle next week.
They built like most of the dungeons in the game are built in a very like linear, like only one way to do it way.
Yeah,
so like
I need to play around with a new dungeon, and I might be able to have some answers. Just the other ones we've done so many times that I can't think of like different ways to do things anymore.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh God damn it! Are you kidding me? Sorry, I'm seeing something right now. They are doing a collector's edition for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and it comes with the Cal Kestis lightsaber.
Oh.
And
how much is that? Like
collector's box.
I'm $200.
Oh man, I'm looking to see. Oh shit!
How much?
$300.
Oh my god.
Okay, so for reference, I bought the Cal Kestis lightsaber at Walt Disney World back in March for $150, and it looked way better than this does. I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, I to be fair, it's gonna like you have a different attachment to yours because you went there and like built it.
I mean, mine also, like, if you were to buy another one, you could make it the double blade hilt.
Oh.
So you have two different pommels. You have the regular pommel on the end, and then you can have the destroyed pommel also. So Man, it looks really fucking good. This
I bet.
I cannot understand paying this much for. That's absolutely insane to me. Anyways, moving right along before I sit here and critique this more. Our last two questions both have to deal with comp. So I need to ask, Joe, have you played the new comp mode yet?
I've literally played, I think, 1 or 2 matches.
Okay. I have not
That's
played
it.
new comp. So, Andre, I'm really sorry. We're going to have to skip your question. You asked if you have played it, how do you feel about 3v3 comp? I have not been able to jump in yet. This has been actually, this has been a busy week. It's going to be a really busy weekend for me. I am hoping to get some comp in early next week, like maybe right after reset. Before next week's episode, I wanna play some comp, see where we're at. But Dealer also wrote in with a question, and this is a topic I wanted to talk about. What do you think of 3v3 Rift for competitive? So,
So,
so kids, let's pull up a chair. It's time to have a talk. Um,
so I think the competitive mode in general would have gone over a little bit better for me if it was 4v4. But that's just my
okay,
my own opinion.
sell me on 4v4 because I played OG Destiny 2 PvP when it was 4v4, and nothing has made me quit this game quicker than that did.
So, 3v3, I think for the game modes they chose isn't the most fun because the maps are very big for 3 people in that kind, like, so the thing for me that works about like trials or like elimination on these maps is normally you guys just kind of run to the middle or run to like a certain lane and like duke 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 it out. These, but like Rift, like, I don't know, something felt awkward about it to me.
Okay.
3v3,
Okay.
but I'm also like, I don't really play a lot of PvP, so I'm not the person to ask about this.
So 3v3 Rift. I don't hate the idea of 3v3 Rift. I think the execution was piss poor. So this was, I don't know if this was actually weighted unequally or they just saw like everybody have a collective meltdown, rightfully so, over this being the predominant mode in comp. I want to know what has possessed Bungie to think that we need Rift in every single mode. Rift is fine. It's fine. That's the most I can say about it is it's fine. Rift in Destiny 1 was a goofy party mode, basically. Nobody took it super seriously. I also don't think like D1 has much of like a competitive scene of people
Yeah, no.
trying to make it into a competitive scene. I think the first thing we have to understand about Rift is I don't think that Rift is bad to add into this like on paper because I'm a fan of I don't think comp should just be who can shoot each other quicker. I think there should
Mhm.
be so I like and I realize I am very much on an island here. I like objective based modes. I, however, do not know if this is the right thing for a competitive playlist to interject to it like right off the bat. I think
Yeah.
that so what do we have in there? We have survival, we have showdown, and we have um
Rift.
rift, right?
Yeah. But basically it's just Rift because there's like a bug and it just keeps showing up.
So that has thankfully been changed.
Okay, great.
That has been nerfed pretty severely into the ground, from what I understand. I do think there needed to be something a little bit different than just standard survival, because then it's like, well, what's like really different from trials? Um,
Yeah.
I think that new comp also has to make us wonder what's the future of trials. Um, I think something like maybe instead of putting Rift in, you could have put in like zone capture. I think that may have been a better one, like so how zone capture trials pops up occasionally. I think maybe if that was like a
Yeah.
permanent mode, that would like be a little bit better for three v
Yeah.
three. Um,
Yeah.
not in trials itself, but in comp. I don't know if I'm really screaming for Rift to be pulled out, but there are going to be some people who simply do not want to play objective-based modes, and I can see totally bouncing. I think that this will turn a lot of people off to the new comp tiers who otherwise would be pretty interested. And I don't exactly blame them for this either, because my first thought when I saw 3v3 Rift being in comp was, really? And I'm not like anti-Rift. So I think there's a few different ways you could have handled this. I think this was probably the worst way to put that in there right at the relaunch. This is something maybe you float like, I don't know, in a month, in like a season or two, not a month or two, in a season or two. Maybe you float this a little bit. I think to put it in right away it's not bold. I think it's a little reckless for a game
Yeah,
that is struggling to retain a competitive fan base and like a competitive PvP fan base. We were playing with Dealer a couple weeks ago. Dealer who asked this question. We were playing Trials with him, and he was telling us, the stats about how Trials was looking, and like flawless pool and this and that, and like that was when it was split up because there was solo trials going on at the same time also, and like we kept matching with the same teams. The pool
oh,
was
I
so
matched you
small
guys.
that I matched up against Joe, and we were in the same Discord talking. We weren't playing together, but we were in the same Discord talking, and we matched up against each other. Like that's how small the player pool was. Like we played the same teams. There were 2 or 3 different occasions where we played a team we had just played like a match or two earlier. Um, I've said it for a while that I think that like Trials needs to shift to um, card based system where like, oh, you need to match up somebody who's like trying to go for win number 3, for example, if you're on win number 3. I think
Not
that
on your first game and match up with somebody on their lighthouse game.
yeah, that's fucking stupid. I think
So
that
dumb.
like survival, we've already talked, or comp, we've already talked about how like there need to be more rewards, and like I'm gonna come up once I've played some comp, I'm gonna come up with some better ideas. But I think that one of the things you look at with that also is that you're not matching up against people who are in your tier either. You're matching up against just random people. Like it's still going for the skill based and not for people who are in your tier. And I think
Yeah, like
that's
within like a certain
frustrating.
amount of
There's no
like
way to
points.
see somebody's rank either.
Yeah.
Um, and I just think like ultimately all those things combined make Rift a really really bad choice. There are always going to be people who are better at playing the objective, and there's always going to be people who are better at just slaying out. And I think like comp is a measure of your skill. I don't know that playing a like basically what was a glorified party mode should
Yeah.
be the thing there. Like I would never want momentum control to be in comp, for example.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I would hate that. I don't want SWAT in a comp playlist, right?
Yeah,
Um,
like Call of Duty has hard point, which I think is an excellent competitive base mode. I think they need something similar to that in Destiny.
they need
Is you're
something.
locking down an area and you gain points every second that your team o- o- owns that area, and it shifts.
Yeah. So, dealer again. I'm gonna circle back to this question next week. I want to play a little bit of Rift myself in 3v3, so I can give a better answer. But my gut feeling is like I understand what they're going for, but I don't think it has a place in current competitive Destiny 2. This is not something you add in when you're trying to rebuild the bones of a competitive scene. And honestly, seeing this put in there made me kind of go, well, maybe this is where we all just need to accept this is not going to be a competitive game. And I think that's okay. I understand that there are a lot of people who love playing PvP in this game. I know that you're one of them. I like getting in Crucible and hanging out with my friends, but Crucible has become an increasingly arduous experience over the last couple of years. Really like culminating in the last like year and a half. It's just been like I've noticed that I play less and less Crucible as the seasons go on. I kind of get in, get my pinnacles, and leave. Do any quests I need to do in there. I'll still I hang out in the party modes. I hang out in momentum control. I hang out in mayhem. I used to be able to hang
Scorched.
out in control. Can't do that anymore. I like
Scorched. Fun times.
fucking hate Scorched. If there was
Oh.
one thing I could delete from this game forever, it would be Team Scorched. I enjoy Iron Banner still. I mean, I would rather go play Trials than play regular control at this point, honestly.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm also kind of mad that they took out the elimination playlist because I thoroughly enjoyed elimination just casually, not in trials. So
yeah,
I'm a little upset about that personally, but
man, I need to think on this one just a little bit more. I need to actually be able to play some Rift before I can give you like a full on answer. But like that's the gut that I'm going with right now is like I don't think it needs to be in the competitive playlist and should probably be replaced by something like zone capture.
yeah,
Um, but that's just me because then I think that gives you an objective to still work towards. But if you're able to slay out in time, then you're slaying out. So I think that should like always be the option. I mean, we had some trials matches where like him and the guy we were playing with Rex were kind of distracting the team, and I was on that fucking point. I was ready. I was on that
yeah,
point, and I
yeah,
was
yeah.
still watching. I was able to hold down, but most of the times it didn't come to that. I think that if you activated that zone at the beginning of the match, that would make it way more like crazy and hectic. Everyone be
Oh
rushing
my
in for it.
God, yeah,
Yeah, like
that
maybe give it
that,
like a five
that would
second
make it
delay.
nuts.
I'd like that, but like if you randomized where the point was each match too, like you didn't know until it popped up. There are things that can be done with this playlist, and I understand like this is kind of the first pass, but I don't know if you can wait another 3 months to do another pass of this playlist.
Yeah,
This feels like you needed to launch it with some alternatives ready to go, and you probably should have been able to see that Rift wasn't going to go over too well with the competitive scene. And I feel like that's a lot of what I'm seeing is just people being like, fuck this, I'm done. I'm out. I had hopes for this, I'm done. I do think it's a little like wild to say I'm out after like 24 hours. But
yeah,
if
it's
all
only
you
been out,
got was
you know.
Rift for like your first 10 matches, I'd probably be out too. Also, like the timer is still way too fucking long. It's like the 6-man timer. Like, come on, man.
Well, and it's the six-man scoring too. It's up to
Oh god,
5.
that's even worse.
It's up to 5. Like it should be like
Gross.
two to 3 max.
Gross.
It it's to 5. I was shocked at that.
Yeah,
They just
get that out of here.
copy and pasted right over. Yeah, it was. I just like I to me with 3v3, it didn't play well. Like if they made like smaller maps, sure, but normally like you get the thing and you have to run really really far to dunk it,
Yeah,
and it took a
I'm
long
I'm
time.
fucking over. I'm fucking over Rift being and everything. Uh, I think that's going to do it for questions tonight, though. I think we're out of here. We are, of course, we are skipping lore corner tonight. There is, I'm sorry, there's no lore corner. I need the API to update, and honestly, we may do a little bit of dawning lore this next week. I think we're going to really wait until we come back after Christmas to like dig deep into the seasonal lore. By then, we should definitely like be API'd up, and I can make up kind of a flow chart of what we want to do for lore between coming back from Christmas and Lightfall coming out, 8 weeks later. Um, I will be gone at the beginning of February, but I can leave notes for Corey. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and get on out of here, guys. Thank you for listening, as always. Joe, where can we find you? I believe you have some creative endeavors to plug here for us.
Yeah, I tweet too much on my Twitter, Joasis LLR. I make music sometimes, just Joasis on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, anywhere you find music. Yeah, that's kind of it for me.
Okay. And of course, you guys can find me on Twitter at Josh_Finn with 2 N's. Twitter hasn't imploded yet like we all thought it was going to, so I'm still hanging out there for right now. But if I
Is
see
that a
any
rumor?
if I see any
Or is
fucking
that really going to
Nazis
happen?
coming into my timeline, it's gonna be curtains.
It's
So
done.
just letting you know. And of course you can find both Joe and myself. You can find Corey, you can find Andre, you can find Nerd, you can find all of us and more over on the Tower Casuals Discord. We have some LFGs going. We're going to be setting them up for dungeon runs. We've got some Dealer has been hanging out in there, recruiting people to the PvP side of things.
Yeah, Dealer is awesome at PvP.
Yeah,
So
that's my boy. That's my
and he's
boy.
always playing.
He's always
So.
he's always playing. He's always looking for homies to play with. We've got nightfall groups going. We've got raid. We're gonna get some raid groups going with the deep stone weapons being craftable now. I want to do some more runs in Kingsfall. Get a few weapons to craft. Maybe do a Vow of the Disciple. At least boss run. Maybe grab a boss checkpoint and go up there. I don't really want to go through the whole thing. I just want to shout at the exotic.
Yeah.
And we're going to be hanging out, doing everything else. Any activities that have gotten reprises. Dares of Eternity just got updated. I'm sure we're going to have some people that want to go in there and do that. So come on, hang out with us. We've just got a lot of stuff going on there. We got some great discussions happening, not just about Destiny. We've got some other games we've been talking about. Chroma Architect has been posting a lot of his Cyberpunk 2077 screenshots. I know Zhao and I have been talking a lot of Fortnite. We're both really excited for the My Hero Academia crossover coming on December 16th. So I'll be talking about that next week for sure. And maybe next week we'll share some tidbits of what we're planning on playing over the break. Some Game Awards recap. Lots of Diablo 4 and Baldur's Gate 3 news tonight. Very excited. And I believe next week, provided that a life-changing event does not happen for him within the next couple of days, Nerd Generalist will be joining us to close out on our final episode of the year to talk some Dawning. We're going to talk some Dawning. We're going to talk the new dungeon. And I think we're going to take a look back on this year in general. So, yeah. From me, from Joe, from Corey, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you Starside. Good night, Guardians.
Bye.
Mm.